I'm going to give you guys a boss egg review of the 2022 World Cup, having actually been to Qatar and actually been to see a game. So what we're going to do, we're going to break it down into positives and negatives, okay? So the first positive, which I absolutely love about the Qatar World Cup, was that they completely fucked off all the political agenda nonsense, okay? We're there to watch football. It's a sporting event. It's not a demonstration. It's not a protest. You're not there for that. Look at Germany doing all the mouth covering things and all this stuff. Focus on your football. You didn't even get out of the group. You disgraced your country for 4 years. You're not going to make this up for 4 years. You can't run that back, okay? You should have been there concentrating on your football. We're there to watch the football. I'm not there to watch political stands and political movements, everything else. And at the end of the day, we have to respect other people and other countries' cultures and rules, okay? Imagine I went to your house and I asked me to take my shoes off and I'm like, no, I'm not taking my shoes off in your own house. That's completely disrespectful, okay? So I really love the way that they completely fucked off all the political nonsense and they just stuck to the football, which admittedly the football was fantastic. And the next point I loved in Qatar was the infrastructure was absolutely awesome. There's no traffic on the roads, the train and tubes all worked, everything was super clean. It was all very new because of course it's all just been built, a lot of it for the World Cup itself, and obviously they'll carry on that infrastructure beyond. And yeah, you can really see the investment that the Qatar government made into this World Cup. You can see where the money was spent, that is for sure. The infrastructure was absolutely top. The third thing that I loved about the Qatar World Cup, having been there, boss ed review, was that there was wealth absolutely everywhere, okay? Now, admittedly, how the workers were paid and things like that, very suspect, we'll get onto that after. But there's no denying it. The architecture, the look, the size, the grandeur of some of the buildings, like I said, how clean it was, how set up it was. Again, seeing certain supercars, the quality of some of the hotels, amazing, okay? Wealth really was prominent, really was everywhere. What I really respect is that they didn't just have money for money's sake. They're saying, yeah, we have money and this is what we can do with it, okay? There are designer stores everywhere. I'm not a big, designer clothes kind of guy, but hey, look, it's a reflection of the demographic, yeah? You're not gonna set up a Dior store in the middle of a slum. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Yeah. So again, a lot of wealth everywhere. That was very inspiring, very, very motivating. So, if you're aspiring to greater things in life, as I am, if you're looking to live that boss edge like I am, and if you're looking to live life by your own design like I am, it was certainly inspirational and motivational being in Qatar, seeing that wealth, being prominent everywhere. And this is going to be a controversial one, but the last thing that I really saw as a positive about the World Cup in Qatar was the very fact that even hosted the World Cup itself. Now, of course, we all know it was very dodgy how they came to get the World Cup, okay? It was very, backhand deals, shady business, different bribes. Okay, that's how they won the World Cup. But you have to remember, on what planet would FIFA or anyone have just given the World Cup to Qatar? It would never have happened. Never in a million years would the World Cup have been hosted in the Middle East, but for their funny business and shady dealings. So they just did what they had to do. They played the game as it was. They did what they had to do to get the job done, which was host the World Cup. And they did that. Okay, maybe there's some other agendas at play, but ultimately to show off their country, to show off what they can do, and to bring football to a region of the world, the Arab world, the Middle East, where it had never been before. So they did what they had to do to get the job done. Now, whilst I don't agree with it, hey, listen, hustle is hustle. There's worse things that go on in the world than that, and they got the World Cup, okay? And they've done a brilliant job of actually putting on the World Cup. The stadiums are all fantastic, it's very safe, and all the other benefits I've already just explained. So ultimately, they smashed it out of the park, and I very, very much respect that they did what they needed to do to get it, they got it, and they smashed it. Now, we're gonna bring on to the negatives, or things I didn't really enjoy so much, or they're a bit suspect there, having been to Doha. The first con that I have with Qatar and the World Cup itself was that some of their views were very dated. So I actually had trouble with my girl, for example, going to a hotel, given that we weren't married. They were looking a bit funny, they were hesitant to check us in, it was quite contentious. Again, in any other country in the world, more or less, that would have been fine. In any Western country, no problem, there's your room, sir, here's your key, or here's an upgrade, off you go. But in this case, it was contentious. It took me like an hour to negotiate and sort it out. We got it sorted in the end. I befriended the owner, good guy, and I got it done. But still, contentious, not what you want. And even walking down the road, sometimes holding hands or things like that, you're mindful of it. Even if it's kind of allowed or it's cool and you see other people doing it, you're just conscious that, oh, this is illegal, or this is wrong, or this, oh, are we allowed to kiss now, or whatever else. It's just not, it's not ideal. So some of their views were a bit dated. I'm not going to go into the political stuff that was being pushed in the news, because that's not my prerogative and that's not what this channel's about. But ultimately, we have to acknowledge at the very least that some of their views are a bit dated compared to modern standards. But hey, look, that's their rules, that's their culture, and that's the way it is. So we have to respect it. The two things I didn't like were the hotels. So first of all, the hotels were super overpriced. It was like $250, $300 a night for like a 4 or 5 out of 10 hotel. Not what you want, okay? So I don't mind paying that for a nice hotel, and you think, oh yeah, look at this. But for a rubbish shower and a rubbish setup and very poor quality finishing on the whole, we stayed in a hotel and an apartment, both the same story, cost a lot of money, and the quality wasn't really there. Not really what you want from such an investment. And the final thing I didn't really like was that given the wealth, given the prosperity in the region and everything else, the workers, we spoke to some of them, they were getting £200 to £300 a month, okay? And you just think, okay, like fair enough, that probably is more than what they would be earning in their respective countries, but surely a bit more could be done about that. Now, fair enough, they pocket that whole 300 because they get their accommodation paid for and everything else itself, and there's other perks. But look, 300 it's not a lot of money, you know, out of money they were charging for the hotels, 300 a night, right, to everyone. It wouldn't have gone amiss to actually pay those workers a bit more. That was a bit of a negative, to be honest. I didn't really rate that so much, particularly when the region is so prominent with wealth and prominent with money. I think the workers could have been paid a lot better. I'm not going to go into the building of the World Cup and the controversies that happened there, because again, that's not what this channel is about. We're here talking about living life by your own design, living your boss edge, and getting the most out of life. So we're not here to talk about politics or anything else, but we have to acknowledge that, look, if you're a boss or you're running your company, how you look after your employees, how you look after your staff is super important, okay? And you can't overlook that. And as a result, I can't fully respect the fact that they were paying their workers so little, given how much money they've got, you know, proportionally. They're not a startup, they're not scrappy, they're not, you know, there's no excuse, given the amount of wealth they have in the region, to not have paid a bit more to their workers, okay? But hey, look, on the whole, I think a lot of the workers were very thankful that they even had a job, that they even had that job, and I think their families back home, from what we understood, were very proud of them for actually being there at the World Cup. It was quite nice for them. So on the whole, again, not the best, but we take it for what it is. So to summarise, the World Cup in Qatar had an amazing experience. The match was fantastic. We saw 8 goals. England smashed Iran 6-2. Get out. Right, that was good. That was good to watch, particularly when most of the stadium was Iranians. that was quite funny. But again, the no alcohol, everything else was amazing. I don't drink myself because, of course, if you're living your boss edge too, you're very conscious about alcohol and the damaging effects it can have, not just on health, but of course on productivity, okay? So the fact there was no alcohol was great. I don't drink anyway, so perfect. I'm there for the football. Again, I'm not there for politics. I'm not there to have a party. I'm not there to go crazy in the crowd and start fights and everything else. I'm there to enjoy the football, spend some quality time with my family, and get the most out of the experience, which we duly did. Qatar, well done. You smashed the World Cup. The football's fantastic. And hey, look, I would definitely love to go back to Doha again. Such was the impression that it left on me. Very modern place, very fantastic. So, keep living your boss edge, and I'll see you on the next video. Live life by your own design.